Well, all right. Yeah, here we are back today with the Volkswagen. This thing has got an AC problem. It has a issue where it takes a long time for it to get cold. So, after doing a lot of research, uh, it looks like I'm going to have to do some AC work. Obviously, uh, where's my part? What do I do with it? There it is, right here. So the AC compressor has this valve in it, and this is a variable control valve for the AC, the refrigerant pressure level. It doesn't have a typical clutch on-off type thing. It has this type of compressor has it's continually going, but it has a swash plate in it, so it's always spinning, and it relies on this valve to regulate the pressure of the refrigerant. So I'm going to have to use I got my vacuum pump, my tank. I got an extra vacuum pump over there, and I have a scale and a sniffer and all kinds of good crap. I got my gauges, and all this stuff is my friend Bruce let me borrow all this stuff. That he's been in some of the other videos I did with the Corvette. So first thing to do is evacuate the system. Again, I'm not an AC guy. I've never done any of this before, so going to be a learning experience for me. And I am by no means am going to show you all the details of what I'm doing, because I'm just hoping that this all works out right. So I'm going to get everything set up to evacuate the system, and then I'll show you what I'm doing. All right, well, it looks like I got everything hooked up. I've got my high and low pressure gauges, and they are set up to my high and low pressure side, which the low pressure, which is the blue, will only hook up to one spot because they're different sizes. Again, and the red is on my high side. I have all my valves. These are open at the moment. These are closed. I've got my evacuation pump and my tank, and I've got the scale has been zeroed out and is now showing me what my tank is empty with everything hooked up, which is what I'm going to need to do. And so that's what it is, empty. I've got that. I recorded that number in my phone so that I can know what's going to happen. Is I'm going to evacuate all this stuff out. I'm going to start with the high side, evacuate the liquid side. I'll get that down close to zero, and then I'll turn around and I'll start. Once it gets pretty low, I'm going to turn on the vapor side, start vacuuming that out, and then I'll be able to close the system off and get underneath it and start to work on it and try and pull that little valve out of the compressor, which I'll show you later. So I have not ever done this before other than watching videos on YouTube. So let's see how it works out. All right, I forgot to mention, so I've opened up this valve here. This valve is still closed, and now I'm reading 100 psi on my high liquid side. I've got no pressure on my tank because I don't have this valve open yet. It's still closed. And what I'm going to do is I've loosened this up, and I'm going to open this valve pretty carefully, and I'm going to let it push the air out because I don't want air going into my tank, which is pretty humidity, and so I don't really have an air dryer in line. So I just want to get all of the air out of this line before I start pumping into my tank. So I don't even need to turn the pump on. I'm just going to kind of let the pressure of the system do that for me. So, all right. Oh, just so there's my boy. Just got his driver's license yesterday, and now he's off running the roads. So, but here we go. As you can see, that there is, I don't know, well, you can't see it now. So I've got stuff going through here. I don't know if you can see what's going through the sight glass, but I do have coolant going through here. Refrigerant. Let's open this valve up a little bit more. You can hear it. Yeah, so you can see there's the refrigerant going through there. That's the liquid side. And I'm gonna let that go down just kind of nice and slow. All right, so this thing's dropped down to about maybe 75 psi, and so it doesn't sound like there's much going through the tank anymore. And so now I'm going to close this off, and I'm going to turn my pump on. And so now I'm going to start evacuating into the tank. Now you can see it's already starting to move. Alright, so I've opened up my vapor side, and you can see that it's falling relatively quickly. I'm almost down to 0 over here, so I think once my vapor side gets down to about 5 psi, I'm going to turn it off, or maybe a little bit lower so I can get my part out. Okay, as you can see, everything's down to 0. Actually, when I closed all these valves off, it created the vacuum on the low side. So I got those turned off. I've got those turned off, and I got my tank valve turned off. So now I currently have 868 or 8.68 kilograms of weight in my tank. Alright, so the difference is about 710 grams between when it was empty and when now that it's full. And right here you can see that Volkswagen suggests 575 grams. Now, like I said, I got 710 grams in the tank. That's because there's more in there. I took out more than I put in because I took it over to Bruce's house, and before I wanted to see if it was low on refrigerant, so we put a little bit in there to see if that would help, and which it didn't. So that's what led me to believe that the valve was bad. So now that I have more, I'm only going to put back what it says to put back in there. I'm not going to put the whole tank back in because then it'll be overcharged. So let's get to taking this whole thing apart. Alright, as per usual, the simple task seemed to take extra long time, so I took this splash guard out, and you can just see the mud and crap and stuff, dirt that fell out. And so what I'm going to have to do is, this is my compressor right here, and I'll just take this belt off, and then I'm going to have to take this splash guard off also, then I should be able to get to the compressor. So, and that valve is down on the bottom side. Alright, I gotta stop and say this. So there are two investments, probably the best investments I think I've ever made, cheap investments in garage tools. One of them, the best thing I think I've ever bought, is this little 1/4-inch cordless impact driver here. Just greatest thing I've ever bought. The most annoying thing is this stupid drop light. Man, never goes in the direction I want it to go. And eventually always just shines me right in the face, or it falls off or something. But just totally annoying. These things are useless, but sometimes they're at the same time most handy to have. So, alright, well I got the thing out. You can see the compressor's hanging down there. One thing to note is I forgot to try to bleed the system out to 0, so I still had about 5 psi on there, and so a little valve here shot out, and but here's the new one. So this one got dirty, and so I'm gonna have to. This is the same one. It's a little different. This end of it is shorter than the factory one, but all the forums say that this is the right one. So they do look pretty similar. Volkswagen does not sell this part by itself, so this is an aftermarket part. So let me see if I can show you. So there's there's where it goes, and you can see the hoses are kind of bent, but once the pressure was relieved, once pressure was relieved, they kind of dropped down a little bit. I could not use my snap ring pliers, but because they suck, I just used a pick and a little pair of pliers to pull the snap ring out. So let's get the part put back in and get the system back up and running. Okay, well I've got the part back on, and no big deal about that. It was just kind of a pain, but so now I pulled a vacuum on the system, evacuated it, and so that's where we're at. And so I'm going to have to wait about 30 minutes, and hopefully that is not moved. And then we can put the refrigerant back in the system, and hopefully the valve, changing the valve is what fixed it. So I'm going to go eat lunch. All right, it's been about an hour, and this thing really, it's maybe dropped, it's dropped a little bit, but I mean, over an hour, maybe just be the system equalizing out, and it could be these, these style connectors I have, maybe these may be, passing a little bit of air, but really it's I don't think there's much I can do. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull another vacuum, pull it back up, and close the system off, and then get my my tank ready to put the refrigerant back in. Okay, so I purged the airlines, so I just kind of opened up these hoses right here and opened up all the valves, and then opened up my tank to purge the air out of the lines, and then shut them off as soon as I could. Just a little bit of air comes out, and close them back up. And so I've got everything's kind of reversed. I've got let's see, let's close that off, make sure that's closed off. That still has a little bit of air left in it. Okay, there we go. Kind of loosen that up. Now tighten it back up so everything's zero. I've got my scale, I got my tank upside down, and I've got my scale zeroed out. And so, which means when I get down to a negative 575, I know that I have put the proper required by Volkswagen amount of refrigerant back in it. So I will let you know how it goes. Oh yeah, so I'm going to open up the high side, the liquid side, and just without the engine running, put the system's under a vacuum and the tank's under pressure. So I'm just going to push on the liquid and the oil back into the compressor, so the compressor won't be running. I don't want to crank the car up with nothing in the system at all. So I'm going to wait till that kind of equalizes, and then I'll crank the car up, and then we'll do the rest. Well, there you can see that's under that's just complete vacuum of the system and pressure in the tank. You can see the refrigerant and oil going back into the system. All right, well I got everything buttoned up, put back together. Got the system recharged. It looks like that valve was the problem, so it's blowing cold air right away. The pressures aren't exactly where everybody else or normal standards say they should be. Maybe it's the temperature outside today, but I did wind up putting more refrigerant back in. It probably has more than what the system calls for. I don't really know. because I don't have all the professional equipment to do it with. I mean, I had basically that stuff is pretty much professional equipment, but I'm not a professional. So anyway, it's blowing cold air, and if all else fails, if things aren't working right, I'll just take it in and have someone completely evacuate the system and recharge it with fresh refrigerant oil. So anyway, later.